The cub screamed before it understood why it was afraid. A sharp sound ripped through the still morning air, thin and broken, the kind of cry that did not belong to the calm of sunrise. The hyena cub's small body froze against the yellow soil, its legs stiff, its breath coming fast and shallow. Somewhere close, something heavy moved. The ground seemed to vibrate for a heartbeat, then go still again. Dust hovered in the light, and the cub's cry faded into a frightened whimper. Then the world rewound. Just moments earlier, the African savannah had been peaceful. The sun rose slowly, spreading soft gold across the open land, turning the dry yellow soil warm and bright. The air was cool, carrying the clean smell of earth and distant animals waking to a new day. No trees broke the wide horizon except one lone acacia standing far off, its flat crown offering a small patch of shade in the open plain. The hyena cub padded along the edge of its clan's territory, its steps uneven and curious. Its ears flicked at every sound, the buzz of insects, the whisper of wind over the ground, the distant calls of adults somewhere behind it. The cub was too young to understand borders or danger. To it, the world was a place of smells and movement, of strange marks in the soil and endless space waiting to be explored. It stopped often, nose close to the ground, sniffing tracks left during the night. Each new scent felt important, exciting. Its tail twitched with playful energy. The cub had wandered farther than it should have, but the morning felt safe. Nothing chased it, nothing growled. The savannah lay open and quiet, as if holding its breath. Far away, beyond the cub's small awareness, a solitary gorilla moved across the plain. He was massive, his dark form standing out against the pale ground, muscles rolling beneath thick fur as he walked. Gorillas were not creatures of the open savannah, yet this one had traveled far from familiar shelter, driven by instincts older than memory. His movements were slow and careful, each step measured. He paused often, lifting his head, listening. A sound had drawn him here. It was not loud, not threatening, but it was wrong. A sharp, thin noise that did not belong in this space. The gorilla's chest rose and fell as he tested the air, nostrils flaring. His world was shaped by feeling and sound, by vibrations carried through the ground. The unfamiliar cry stirred something deep inside him, unease mixed with the need to protect. He moved forward again, knuckles pressing into the soil, eyes scanning the open land. The sun caught the edges of his broad shoulders, casting long shadows behind him. Dust clung to his fur as the ground shifted beneath his weight. Each step brought him closer to the source of the sound, though he could not yet see it. From the shade of the distant acacia, another presence watched. The young lion lay low, golden fur blending into the dry light, his body stretched along the cooler ground beneath the tree. He was not fully grown, but strength already lived in his frame. His ears twitched as the wind shifted, carrying scents that made his muscles tighten. Hyena. Something else. Something unfamiliar. The lion lifted his head slowly, eyes narrowing as he scanned the open plain. He did not rush. He had learned patience early. In the savannah, survival favored those who waited, who watched. The morning seemed calm, but the air told a different story. It tasted sharp, full of warning. He rose to his feet, stepping just beyond the shade, the sun warming his back. His tail flicked once, then stilled. He did not yet know what would unfold, only that the balance of the morning was beginning to tilt. Back near the edge of the territory, the hyena cub felt the first real stir of fear. The ground vibrated again, stronger this time. The cub lifted its head, ears flattening as a shadow stretched across the soil in front of it. The playful curiosity drained from its small body, replaced by instinct. It took a step back, then another, but the space behind it felt suddenly too open, too exposed. The cub let out a short, sharp cry. That sound reached the gorilla like a signal. He stopped, lifting his head fully now. There, movement ahead. Small, vulnerable. His body stiffened, not with hunger, but with alarm. In his mind, the world divided into what belonged and what threatened. The small figure did not belong here. He moved faster, Each step sent dust puffing into the air, the yellow soil shifting beneath his weight. His arms swung with power, his posture rising taller as he closed the distance. His breathing grew louder, deep and steady, filling the quiet morning with a heavy rhythm. The hyena cub saw him then. Its eyes widened and panic took hold. The cub turned, scrambling clumsily, paws slipping on the loose soil. It ran, but its legs were short, its steps uneven. The open land offered no place to hide. No rocks, no shadows, only the wide, empty savannah and the sound of something large coming closer. The cub cried again, louder now. The lion heard it clearly. He took another step forward, then stopped. His body went still, muscles tight beneath his fur. He could see the movement now, a dark shape advancing, a small one fleeing. This was not a hunt, he understood. It was something else, something wrong. The wind shifted, carrying the gorilla's scent to him. The lion's ears flattened slightly. He had never faced a creature like this in the open. Instinct urged caution, but another feeling rose alongside it, a sharp awareness of the cub's helplessness. Time slowed. The gorilla reached the edge of the cub's path, his massive form towering above the small body pressed low against the ground. Dust hung between them, glowing in the sunlight. The cub froze, its cries breaking into short, desperate sounds. The gorilla stopped too. For a brief moment, the savannah held its breath. He looked down at the cub, chest heaving, eyes dark and alert. Confusion flickered across his face. This was not what he had expected. The sound had led him here, but now he stood over something fragile, something that did not threaten his space, yet did not belong to him either. In the distance, the lion stepped fully into the light. He did not roar. He did not charge. He simply watched, every sense focused on the scene unfolding across the open ground. His presence added a new weight to the air, a quiet tension that spread across the savannah. Dust lifted in small spirals around their feet. The sun climbed higher, sharpening shadows, brightening colors. Breaths quickened. Hearts raced. 3 paths had crossed in a place with no shelter and no rules. And nothing would be the same after what came next. The gorilla lunged forward, and the world exploded into motion. The hyena cub barely had time to scream before the shadow fell over it. A heavy rush of air followed, thick with dust and the sharp smell of disturbed earth. The ground shook as the gorilla's weight came down, his massive arms swinging wide, his chest rising with a deep, startled roar. The cub flattened itself against the yellow soil, its small body trembling, legs tucked tight beneath it, as if trying to disappear into the ground itself. For a breathless moment, the savannah was nothing but chaos. Dust rose in thick clouds, turning the bright morning light harsh and blinding. The sun cut through the haze in sharp lines, catching the edges of moving bodies and flashing off wide, frightened eyes. The cub cried again, a thin, broken sound that carried fear more than pain. It did not fight back. It could not. Everything about its posture spoke of helplessness. Head low, back curved, tail pressed flat against the earth. The gorilla froze mid-step. He had expected danger. He had prepared for threat. But the shape beneath him was small, fragile, shaking with fear. His arms remained raised, muscles tight, power coiled and ready, yet something in his mind stalled. His breathing came fast now, heavy and loud, the sound rolling from his chest like distant thunder. The cub's cries rang in his ears, sharp and confusing. This was not an enemy. Still, instinct is faster than thought. The gorilla shifted his weight, stepping closer, towering over the cub. His shadow swallowed the small body completely, blocking the sun. The cub pressed itself even lower, eyes squeezed shut, as if the darkness might protect it. The ground beneath them was warm, gritty, alive with the movement of ants and the faint tremble of distant hoofbeats. Fear ruled the moment. The gorilla's heart pounded. Every sense screamed that this strange, crying creature did not belong here, that it had crossed into his space, that he had to act before danger grew. His fingers curled into the soil, gripping the loose earth, dust clinging to his fur. And then, From the edge of the swirling haze, another presence made itself known. The lion stepped forward. He did not charge. He did not roar. His movement was slow and deliberate, each paw placed carefully on the ground. The dust parted around his legs as he advanced, golden fur glowing in the harsh sunlight. His muscles were tight beneath his skin, ready but controlled, his head held low, eyes locked on the scene ahead. He could see everything now. The massive gorilla, the tiny cub, the fear pouring off both like heat. The lion stopped a short distance away, close enough to be seen, far enough to choose his next move. His tail flicked once, then went still. The savannah seemed to quiet around him, as if the land itself was watching. The gorilla noticed him instantly. A deep sound rose in his throat, not quite a roar, not quite a warning. His body turned slightly, broad shoulders angling toward the new threat, even as his eyes flicked back to the cub beneath him. He stood between two unknowns now, one small and terrified, the other strong and calm, yet clearly dangerous. The cub sensed the shift. It opened its eyes just enough to see the lion's shape through the dust. Another predator, another danger. Its cry broke again, weaker this time, its small chest heaving as panic drained what little strength it had left. The cub's world had become a storm of shadows and sound, of towering shapes and shaking ground. The lion took another step. The distance between him and the gorilla closed slowly, measured in heartbeats. He could smell the gorilla now, musky, strong, unfamiliar. He could also smell the cub, sharp with fear, young and fragile. His instincts pulled in opposite directions. Predators did not protect the young of others. The savannah did not reward mercy. But something in this moment felt wrong. The lion lowered his head further, ears angled back, not in anger, but in focus. His eyes never left the gorilla's. This was not a challenge for food. This was a challenge for control, for balance. The gorilla shifted again, feet digging into the soil. He rose taller, chest out, arms slightly spread. Dust slid from his fur as he moved. He beat his chest once, a deep, hollow sound that rolled across the open land. It was a warning, born of fear and confusion, not hate. The lion did not flinch. Silence stretched between them, thin and fragile. Even the wind seemed to pause, the dust hanging in the air as if suspended. The cub lay still now, its cries reduced to quiet, broken breaths. Its small body shook with each inhale, ribs moving fast beneath spotted fur. Time slowed. The lion made his choice. He stepped forward again, placing himself fully in view, his body angled slightly away from the cub. It was a small movement, but its meaning was clear. He was not here to attack the cub. He was not here to fight unless forced. His presence was a wall, a message written in muscle and calm. Stop. The gorilla stared at him, eyes dark and searching. His breathing began to slow, each breath deeper than the last. The cub beneath him did not move, did not cry. The gorilla looked down at it again, really looked this time, and something shifted. The cub was not rising. It was not threatening. It was simply there, alive and afraid. The gorilla stepped back. It was only one step, but it changed everything. The shadow lifted from the cub, sunlight spilling over its small body once more. The cub sucked in a shaky breath, eyes opening wide as light returned. Dust drifted down slowly, settling on fur and soil alike. The lion held his ground. He did not rush to the cub. He did not move closer to the gorilla. He simply stood, a quiet guard between danger and innocence. His chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm, his gaze steady, unblinking. The gorilla hesitated, then took another step back. His arms lowered. The tension in his shoulders eased just slightly. He let out a low sound, softer now, filled with confusion more than threat. The cry that had drawn him here faded in his mind, replaced by the strange calm of a choice unmade. The cub stayed still, as if afraid that movement might break the fragile peace. For a long moment, all three remained where they were. Predator, protector, victim, bound together by a silence deeper than sound. Then, slowly, the gorilla turned away. He did not run. He did not look back. He walked, heavy steps carrying him out of the dust and into the open plain, his broad back catching the sunlight as he went. With each step, the tension drained from the air, the savannah exhaling at last. The lion waited until the gorilla was gone. Only then did he glance down at the cub. Their eyes met for a brief second. The cub's gaze was wide and unsure, filled with a fear that had not yet learned how to fade. The lion did not touch it. He did not growl. He simply stood there, a quiet presence, until the cub found the strength to rise. When the cub finally stumbled to its feet, the lion stepped aside, opening a clear path back towards safety. The cub ran. Small legs kicked up yellow dust as it fled, disappearing toward the distant calls of its clan. The lion watched until it was gone, until the sounds of the savannah returned to their normal rhythm. Then he turned back toward the open land. The sun climbed higher. Dust settled. The savannah returned to its endless calm. But something invisible had changed. In a place ruled by hunger and fear, a different rule had been written, if only for a moment. And as the lion walked away beneath the wide African sky, the ground behind him held the quiet truth of what had passed, waiting to be remembered. The lion stood between them, and the savannah fell silent. Dust hung in the air like a paused breath, each grain glowing in the light as if time itself had slowed. The gorilla's chest rose and fell, heavy and loud, but his arms lowered inch by inch. The hyena cub lay pressed to the yellow soil, sides fluttering with fast, shallow breaths. No one moved. Not yet. The world waited. The lion did not roar. He did not bare his teeth. He simply stood there, steady and calm, his body angled so the cub was behind him. His eyes stayed on the gorilla's face, not challenging, not afraid, just present. It was a strange thing in the wild, this stillness, and it unsettled the moment more than any attack could have. The gorilla shifted his weight. His fingers opened, letting the soil fall back to the ground. The anger that had pushed him forward only seconds ago drained away, leaving confusion in its place. He glanced down, then back up, as if trying to understand how he had arrived here. The cub did not move. The lion did not move. The wind brushed lightly across the plain, cooling hot skin and carrying away the sharp edge of fear. Slowly, the gorilla took a step back. It was a small step, careful and unsure, but it changed the shape of the moment. Sunlight reached the cub again, warm and gentle. The cub flinched at first, then lifted its head just enough to see that the shadow was gone. Dust drifted down around it, settling on its spotted fur and tiny paws. The cub's eyes blinked wide, filled with shock more than understanding. The lion stayed where he was. Another step back, then another. The gorilla's breathing slowed, his shoulders dropping as the tension eased from his frame. He let out a low sound, not a warning now, but something softer, almost questioning. The sound rolled across the open land and faded into the wide sky. The cub gathered itself and shook, a small, full-body tremble that sent dust puffing off its fur. Its legs wobbled when it tried to stand, and it sank back down, startled by its own weakness. The lion glanced down briefly, then back at the gorilla, as if reminding both of them why he was there. The gorilla turned his head away. It was not sudden. He did not flee. He simply chose a different direction. His broad back caught the light as he turned, the sun tracing the curve of his shoulders and the rough texture of his fur. He took one step, then another, moving away from the conflict that had pulled him in. With each step, the air felt lighter. The lion waited. He did not relax until the gorilla had put real distance between them, until the dark shape grew smaller against the pale ground. Only then did the lion shift his weight, easing the tightness from his muscles. He breathed in deeply, the smell of dust and warm earth filling his lungs, grounding him in the present. The cub watched the lion now. Its eyes followed his movements, unsure, curious, still afraid. The cub did not cry. It did not run. It simply watched, learning in its own small way that the danger had passed. The lion turned his head slightly and met the cub's gaze. For a moment, they looked at each other. The lion's eyes were steady, calm, without hunger. The cub's eyes were wide, bright with fear and something else, something like trust, born not from choice but from survival. The moment did not last long. In the wild, moments like this rarely do. The lion stepped aside. He moved just enough to open a clear path across the open plain, back toward the edge of the hyena territory. The gesture was simple, almost accidental, but its meaning was clear. The cub hesitated, then pushed itself to its feet. Its legs shook, but they held. It took one step, then another. The cub broke into a clumsy run, paws kicking up yellow dust as it fled. Its breath came fast and loud, but there was strength in it now. The cub ran toward distant sounds, calls it recognized, voices that meant safety. The lion watched until the small shape became a blur against the bright ground, then disappeared completely. Only then did the lion turn away. He walked back toward the open plains, toward the space where the land stretched wide and empty. The acacia tree stood alone behind him now, its shade untouched. The sun had climbed higher, softening the edges of the morning and warming the air. The savannah resumed its quiet rhythm, as if nothing had happened. But something had. The dust settled fully, returning to the ground from which it had been thrown. Insects buzzed again, their sounds filling the space left by fear. Far away, hooves struck the earth in steady patterns. Life continued, unstoppable and indifferent. The lion paused once more and looked back. There was nothing to see now. No cub, no gorilla, no sign of the storm that had passed through this place. Just yellow soil, bright light, and endless space. He stood there for a heartbeat longer, then continued on, his shape growing smaller against the vastness of the land. The savannah breathed. Wind brushed across the ground, cooling the soil where the cub had lain. The sun softened as it climbed, turning harsh light into warmth. The land held the memory of what had happened, even if no tracks remained to tell the story. Somewhere beyond the open plain, the cub would reach its clan. It would press close to familiar bodies, feeling the steady warmth of others like it. The fear would fade slowly, replaced by the simple comfort of belonging. The day would move on, and the cub would grow, carrying a lesson it could never fully understand.